and that I was far from where I needed to be, and they would guide me to and provide me with the help that I needed as a player to reach my potential. And I think that's how you impact people. And I think we talk about that a lot as professional athletes. How you impact people on the field is one thing, how you impact people off the field is another. So whether that's teammates that you can impact or people in the community that you can impact, I think all those things are important. A lot of joy, in my experience, comes from seeing other people be their best and seeing people succeed in ways that can set their family up.
Damien Woody back here with us, obviously won 2 Super Bowl championships with the Patriots. So, Damien, I want to start with you. You heard Tom there being grateful about carrying the torch and paying it forward. What was your response to what you just heard?
Well, I mean, listen, this is a Tom Brady that learned from a unique culture in New England. I mean, early on in that press conference, he talked about how the guys, like the Willie McGinnis, the Teddy Bruschi's, the Drew Bledsoes, how they instilled all those different values in Tom to show him what it took to be a pro on and off the field. And I think Tom is a guy that's paying it forward. As far as it relates to Antonio Brown, he had his opportunity in New England, and obviously it didn't work out well. But I think that with Antonio Brown getting this chance now in Tampa with Tom, I think he understands and he feels indebted that Tom would stick his neck out for him to have an opportunity, not only to be to have a redemption story after everything that's happened, but also to be a part of a team that could possibly win a Super Bowl and play in a Super Bowl down in Tampa. Listen, Antonio Brown is to me, in my opinion, is going to be a Hall of Famer, and the opportunity to play with Tom Brady, and you see the relationship that those guys still had even when Antonio Brown was on the street. So I think Antonio Brown coming into this situation feels that, you know what, I'm not going to get this. Is going to be my last opportunity. If I mess this up, that's going to be it as far as my career in the National Football League, and he owes a big part of that to Tom Brady sticking his neck out in a relationship that they've fostered over the time that he's been off the field.
Well, Molly, I think this is just terrible by Tom Brady. No, what do you want me to say? Be anti-Tom Brady? Molly, in spite of what you may think, I'm not. The fact of the matter is, you're mad at me because I said Tom Brady's going to be the oldest quarterback ever if he's still great, and then he was.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I'm unsurprised by this kind of leadership by Tom Brady. I think it says very good things about him. And I think there's look, in Antonio Brown's case, I've openly questioned his mental health and his emotional health on the air because of his behavior was so perplexing and self-destructive and destructive to others, it seemed to me. And I mentioned, it's possible that he has those issues and he's also just a jerk. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Not everyone with mental health issues is a jerk and vice versa, but sometimes they're both, and maybe that was Antonio Brown. But even that said, I think there's a tendency, people talk about cancel culture, and you can extend that to mean that if someone has some piece of behavior that you don't like, you can, or even a pattern of behavior, I think there's a tendency to think they are now disqualified from ever rejoining society or the workforce. And that's a fundamentally destructive way to think about things. You'd like for people to get better. You'd like for happy outcomes for everybody as much as possible. Even the people you feel are the bad guys. You'd hope that they can change their behavior and no longer be that way. Not that they shouldn't be punished or pay the price in some way, because you do need to set an example, but not just to be punitive. You've done a bad thing and now you must hurt. It's to set examples and things like that. Ultimately, the best outcome is to change the behavior for the better. And that's what, to me, what it sounds like Tom Brady is really talking about. When Damien says pay it forward, he had help in his life. We all have. And you'd like to help others, too. It reminds me, it's not exactly the same thing, but it's the same place in Brady, I think, in terms of the leadership he's shown. When he was on that radio interview and a host mentioned something about his daughter that, listen, Stephen A.'s done radio, I've done radio, we could tell you. You're talking for hours on end, and you're trying to be entertaining, and sometimes you say something stupid. And that happened to the radio host, and it concerned Tom Brady's daughter, and Brady got up and left the interview. But when everyone's saying, oh, he should be fired, Brady said, no, I don't think he should be fired. He wanted him to learn from it and get better. That's the right attitude. It carries over, as Tom Brady said, off the field and on the field for him. and it's one of the things that makes him a great leader.
Well, one of the things I think also helped to piggyback off the point that you just made about Tom Brady, let's keep in mind that when that radio host made that mistake in talking about his daughter, Tom Brady did not refuse to show up for the meeting, for the appearance on the radio show. He actually called in to tell the guy, this is why I'm not going to have that conversation with you guys. Here's what you did. I did not appreciate it, et cetera, et cetera. And so to me, that was incredibly classy as well. He didn't just go to the media, stay in his locker room, not show up. He said, no, I'm supposed to show up weekly, but I'm not going to.
It was menschy behavior, as we're saying.
This is what you did. Now, having said all of that, let me be very, very clear. Tom Brady has no responsibility whatsoever for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's a grown man. It's up to Antonio Brown to conduct himself accordingly. And if he doesn't, he's going to pay a price because Bruce Arians has made it very, very clear there will be a no-tolerance policy. And I think Antonio Brown knows that. What Tom Brady is vouching for with Antonio Brown is that these two have a connection that would benefit the team on the football field and in the locker room. Tom Brady don't have anything to do with Antonio Brown going off at cops locally in Florida. He don't have any problem with him videotape. Tom Brady doesn't have anything to do with Antonio Brown secretly taping people when he's having conversations with them without them knowing. I mean, he doesn't have anything to do with it. He can't control something like that. And so those are the kind of things that we have to make sure we compartmentalize and we let it. Does Antonio Brown deserve a second chance? Yes, he does. Am I happy that he's going to be back in the league? Yes, I am. Do I think that he's going to play lights out? You damn right I do. But the flip side to it is that let's be very, very clear. If he messes up because of his behavior, it's of no fault of Tom Brady. All Tom Brady was doing, and I appreciate what he articulated, is that you come from different backgrounds. You have a support base and a support system that some other people don't have. Being in a locker room for as long as I have been, hearing the stories, being connected to people that have endured things that I can only imagine, it reminds me of how blessed and fortunate I am to have had the life that I have in terms of my parents, my siblings, my whole family kind of structure and background. I'm incredibly fortunate to have that, but other people didn't. And because of that, they may not have known any better because of things that they've been exposed to, the mistakes that they've made, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe in people getting chances. I can respect Tom Brady for feeling that way, but I have even more respect for him for saying it.
Yeah, and as I said, there's a word in Yiddish that's made its way to English called a mensch. It means a human being in the best sense of the word. And Tom Brady, in those instances, in the radio interview, what he said here is menschy. Like it's one of the ways he leads, and it's important. It's a good example.
No question. By the way, on the field, in the one game we did see AB play with Brady, he had 8 targets on 14 routes and a touchdown. So it will be fun to see them on the field. Damian, always good to see you, sir. Talk soon.
Yep.
When we come back here on First Take, Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm loving